Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao. Today's shoe rambling video brings you a bit of heritage turned into modern. It might be a bit of heresy and it might be a bit of brilliance. You tell me, leave a comment, subscribe, and like, because any of those things helps get these videos out to more viewers. So without further ado, let me present to you the Pew 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 gunboat. This, my friends, is also known as the Longwing Blucher style, and this particular model is by Florsheim. This is the Florsheim Imperial Longwing Blucher, their 93602 model in a grained calf leather, and this shoe is about 40 years old. So, I wanted to get a little bit more into the Longwing Blucher as a style and show you this particular model, which I scored off the used market and then subsequently revised. And so this model came from the early 1980s and initially featured what's called a V-cleat sole. I'll put that up in the video here and cut over to an image of the V-cleat sole. But what I did was, in order to make it more useful for me, I actually had the shoe resold by Wyatt and Dad Cobblers out of North Carolina. If you ever want a great cobbler, Wyatt and Dad, they're the way to go. They have a YouTube channel as well, so go check them out. But anyways, Wyatt and Dad, and I believe it was Cobbler Tobias from that outfit, decided to do a little bit of adjusting of the sole based off of my requests and modifications. And so we applied a Vibram Londra sole to this very classic model. The Londra sole is sort of Vibram's take on the Ridgeway sole, I guess is the best way to put it. It actually is a really nice sole that functions for both semi-dress wear as well as for outdoor wear. I live in the Pacific Northwest where it's quite a rainy climate, and I wanted to make sure that I could have these shoes functional for large parts of the year through all weathers and climates. And as you can see, the Florsheim Imperial is a shoe that's built to last. I mentioned that this is a 40-year-old shoe. This shoe is almost as old as I am, and yet the leather, the fit, the finish, how the shoe looks is almost like it came off the shelf yesterday. It's like a brilliantly new-looking shoe that has really stood the test of time, age, and regular wear. Now, of course, I always take care of my shoes. I use Pure Polish products to give us that lovely shine. And Pure Polish products are a great match for your vintage shoe wear, restoration, cleaning, conditioning, and all of the like. The V-cleat is the style that this shoe initially came in, and the sole is typically a leather sole with what's called a suicide heel, meaning that the shoe had a heel that was rather slippery, and it actually had a little metal triangle, which was the V-cleat, which is a stylistic cue for those shoes of that era. If you ever want a good site to check out, vcleat.com will give you every piece of information you ever want to know about vintage Florsheim and other Longwing Blucher and similar vintage models of shoes. So go check out vcleat.com. In addition to Wyatt and Dad, you're going to be happy with both of those choices. So the Longwing Blucher, as I mentioned, is the classic American shoe. The shoe has extensive broguing, so you can see the brogue holes that adorn the edge of this Blucher style, the facing here, as well as into the collar right through here. You can see that. You can also see this Longwing style, which is essentially a wingtip, which is this style right here, the wingtip, but that the wings of the shoe extend all the way to the back of the shoe. So that's what makes this shoe a Longwing. And then the broguing is extensive. And then you also see this detail here, this razor tooth edge. It's called pinking is a term. You can see how many details are put into every element, including the joint here between the facing and the vamp. You can see this beautiful back heel seam here where there is actually no pinking along the edge of this back heel panel, but the pinking goes all the way across almost every other element. This has blind eyelets, 5 eyelets, and a medallion on the cap. Because the model I got had a very dried out welt here, this is considered a storm welt, I had Wyatt and Dad replace the welt, the midsole, and I decided to go with a rust-colored outsole stitching that you can see right here. So this is all work done by Cobbler Tobias. You can see how clean that work is, the relatively high stitch density, which reflects some of the best eras of Florsheim wear. I wanted a natural edge dressing that kind of matched the upper to provide a little bit more of a modern and casual look. And then of course I wanted the Vibram Laundra sole, which I thought was a cool option there. You can see the original Florsheim Imperial icon in the front here, as well as this cool old school shoe tree, which is the Florsheim original shoe tree that came with this particular model. So this is a shoe that's both vintage and modern. The Longwing Blucher seems to have gained some recent notoriety and fame and has increased in popularity because the recent World Championships of Shoemaking used this model as a template for which all of the makers around the world were trying to create their own version in order to compete to identify who the best shoemaker was. And it's really, this particular model is the archetype for the Longwing Blucher. You can see it has a more round-toed last. You can see this rounded toe here. Really not asymmetric, it's fairly symmetric. It's a little bit more spacious and generous, though true to size. You can see that the arch is not pulled in super tight here, so this is more of an American style where you have a more rounded, full look rather than an ultra tapered, sleek look. And a block heel with a bit of a step off between the upper and the heel. You can see this is a rather chunky heel block here, which is classic for that era. And this shoe is also called a gunboat because in the era that it was popular back in the 1940s and 50s, this design kind of was reminiscent of gunboats of that era. As I mentioned, this is the 93602 model, which features this grained light brown, almost orange brown calf. There is also a 93604 and a number of other models that denote the specific era and makeup. And if you go on vcleat.com, you're going to get all kinds of information on how to date the shoes based off of the date codes, how to decide whether or not you want a particular model. My favorite version of this is probably the Golden Harvest, which is one of the more difficult to find Longwing Bluchers based off of its color and short era of production, and it really stands out. People say, wow, you're wearing a pair of shoes that are older than you? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And go check out vcleat.com, go check out wyattandDad.com, go check out and learn as much as you can about the Longwing Blucher, the classic American heritage style that's relevant even today, especially as we move to a more casual workplace and enthusiasts such as myself are looking for options that are more casual footwear than your typical Oxford or dressed up shoe. I think the Longwing Blucher along with the split toe derby are probably the two most relevant styles right in 2022, both in terms of popularity as well as relevance to modern menswear that bridge between more formal and more casual wear. So hope you're all doing well. Hope you enjoyed the shoe ramble, and I'll catch you at the next one. Take care. Bye.